Okay, so we are just waiting for it to show up on Facebook. So welcome everybody to Monday Whispers Chat. Today is today's Monday. I do this every time. Well, not every time. Periodically, I forget what day it is. And so today is Monday Whispers Chat. And so Bridging the Gap Wellness is all about being able to create holistic life and finding balance. And every week during Monday Whispers Chat, we feature an amazing and inspiring woman. And so today I have with me Lisa Handley. And you don't pronounce the D, right?
Handley. Yep.
Handley. Oh, you do pronounce the D. So because we have friends up here that that pronounce it, but have the D, but it's a silent D. So I thought I better check. So Lisa is a wife, a mom, a pharmacist from Des Moines, Iowa. And she's passionate about health and wellness and partnered with Beautycounter in 2018 to be a voice in the clean beauty movement. After suffering from debilitating fatigue in her early 30s, Lisa knows firsthand how switching to safer products can positively affect health. She was diagnosed with a heavy metal toxicity, and the products that she was using were a contributing factor. She educates and advocates for reform in the beauty industry so that everyone can have access to products that will not jeopardize health. So despite the fact that Lisa sent me a message and said, hey, it says negatively instead of positively, I still managed to say it despite the fact that it was corrected. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So is there anything about yourself, because I just gave that brief introduction about yourself, is there anything else about yourself that you want to be able to share?
So you mentioned that I'm a pharmacist, and I feel like if there was anybody that should have known what was going on with our personal care products, it probably should have been me. The same in the United States, at least, the same piece of legislation that governs our prescription drugs also governs our personal care products. And so when I found out what was going on and finally received the diagnosis that was contributing to my health issues, I thought, my goodness, if I don't know about this, then who else is going to?
Yeah.
And so that's, really how I felt called to really jump in with Beautycounter and start being a voice in this movement.
And that's a really interesting point that you made, right? So I would have never thought about it, but you're right. As a pharmacist, I know that that's one of the things that I do is I go to my pharmacist to be able to this is what's going on with me. And so, but it's sometimes we don't even think about some of those things that are actually going on, despite the fact that that's what's going on in our field. Hello, Suzanne. And so just really important for us to be able to have that outlook. And today, for whatever reason, I am stumbling on my words. I have been stuck behind a computer all day, and that's probably why, because I have probably not spoken to anybody. I had a very brief meeting today, and that's it. The rest of the time has been stuck behind the computer. So my mouth and my jaw is going what words were you supposed to be using today? So I apologize. And so for those of you who actually follow Monday Whispers Chat, you know how informal this is. So when I just kind of start stumbling, I just start stumbling because that's just who I am sometimes. So I'm going to apologize, Lisa. But so tell me a little bit more about, because one of the things that you actually said oh my goodness gracious. One of the things that we talked about was in your description was that you had high levels of toxicity. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. So heavy metal toxicity is toxic levels higher than they should be of metals. So lead, arsenic, cadmium, aluminum, those sorts of things. And they are one of the sources of that. A pretty common source of that is our personal care products, particularly cosmetics. So things that have color to them, like eyeshadow, lipstick, and blush. When those products are made, heavy metals are often contaminants of those colored cosmetics. So when beauty brands are putting those in there, it's not on purpose. It's really happening on accident. The part that we want to make sure is happening is that companies are are looking into and doing the best that they can to make sure that those levels are staying low, so that when we are putting things on our skin and we know that those things are getting absorbed and getting into our bloodstream, that they're not causing problems.
Okay. So it's not like it's not because the products that, or the people that are creating the products are purposely using toxic chemicals to be able to put on our beauty products. Is that what you're saying?
In most cases, I believe that is to be the case. What I would say is kind of the downfall would be not measuring your ingredients that are coming in to make sure that they're not causing problems. Because, you know, in the situations where we have regulations around like the paint that goes on our walls and how you can't have lead in paint, but it's okay to have, you know, lead and pretty high levels of lead that go in things that are actually going on our skin. You know, so like in the United States, the FDA has guidelines for how much lead can be in our cosmetics. But unfortunately, there are products on the market that we know through independent testing have 20 times that amount. So we know that this area is not being regulated anywhere near how it should.
Wow, like that's crazy. I would have never thought that that much was actually going through our products. So I want to say hi to Penny, because Penny is on, and she said, I think I'm finally online. So she's been having some difficulty with her internet. So I'm glad to see that she's back on. So hey, Penny. So tell me a little bit more about how do you actually learn how to not have those products? How can you find out, like, so if I'm using this product or I'm using that product, how do you get to find out what is causing and what kind of levels are in the products?
So you want to actually research the company. So you want to find companies who are very forthcoming in stating what their ingredients are and if they are doing the heavy metal testing. So for example, the reason why I partnered with Beautycounter is because it was one of the only companies that I could find, and the best company that I could find, that tests every single batch of color cosmetic that comes into their company. Okay. And they work very hard with their suppliers to get their heavy metal levels to be either no detect, as would be the result that comes out on the test, or as low as possible. So it's even lower than what in the United States the FDA says is acceptable.
So can you tell me a little bit more about Beautycounter? So like I know that I'm familiar with Beautycounter. I have a friend that sells it, so I've been introduced to it. But other people may not necessarily know a little bit about Beautycounter. So can you tell me a little bit more?
Sure. So Beautycounter was founded about 6 years ago. We're based in Santa Monica, California. And it was founded by a mom who watched a documentary that showed her what was really in the products that we're using every day and how unregulated the beauty industry really is. You know, and we live in both within Canada and the United States. We live in countries that it's, you know, multi-billion-dollar industry, the beauty industry is, and yet we really had no idea how unregulated it was and continues to be. And so she, being very entrepreneurial in spirit, said, you know what, this is not okay with me. I am slathering stuff on myself and on my 3 small children every single day. And I have no idea how that's going to be changing their health. And so she set out to literally change the beauty industry. So when Beautycounter was born, it was not really born to be another beauty brand on the market. It was born to be a force of change, because that's what this industry needs. We need more regulation around what is going into our products, because we know that there are ingredients in there that are causing a lot of health effects. My situation with heavy metal toxicity is just one example, but we know that there are preservatives in our products today that are linked to breast cancer, and they're linked to changes in our hormones, which then, you know, cause a whole bunch of problems for really any age, but particularly children and teens. When we're talking about, you know, causing problems and shifting the balance of the hormones in their body, that has a profound effect. And we're starting to see in the research that we're seeing infertility, we're seeing increases in cancer rates. 40 years ago, the breast cancer rate was 1 in 20, and now it's 1 in 8. I mean, that is an amazing increase in breast cancer cases. And we know that things like parabens, which are one of these preservatives that I'm talking about, they are actually found inside breast cancer tumors. And so we're seeing, the correlation that's starting to happen with what we're putting on our skin and how that's affecting our health. So Beautycounter said, this is not okay. In the United States, there are only 30 ingredients, not 30,000, just 30 that are either banned or restricted from being in our products. In Canada, that number is 600. But then when you look at the European Union, it's over 1,400. So you can see there's a large, large gap, right?
Yeah.
So Beautycounter basically took the European Union list and then added a couple hundred more of their own. So we have over 1,500 ingredients that we will never put in our products because they have either been shown to cause problems with our health or they're questionable. And until we know for sure what those ingredients are going to do, how they interact with each other, how they interact in the body, we would not take a chance with that. So we offer products for babies, kids, teens, men, and women, bath and body, sunscreen, hair care products, cosmetics, and skincare. And we will go to Parliament, we go to Washington, D.C., and we support legislation that will help change this so that at one point in time in the future, we will no longer have to worry about scrutinizing ingredient labels and checking to see what's in our products. We will just know that everything that we can purchase is safe.
So, and you may not know the answer to this question, but it's just something that kind of popped into my head as you were talking about like the differences between the US, Canada, and the European standards. Like, so why are the standards so different from these countries? Like, why is it such a huge difference between both, or like all three technically?
In the United States, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we just do not have the funding or the resources to be able to do the type of screening and regulation that is necessary. So, for example, on the prescription drug side, the FDA has the authority if there is a problem with a medication or with a manufacturing plant, then they can shut that plant down and they can recall medications. They cannot do that when it comes to our beauty products. And you need people to be able to stay on top of that, to be doing the testing and to be able to enforce that regulation. And we just don't have that. Okay.
So that makes sense, because that would be the same issue likely that goes on in Canada as well. So so then the European board, or whatever it was that you called it, sorry, I can't remember what it is that you had said that it was called, but so they have different standards obviously than we do. So they obviously have things put in place in this. Is it like the same, similar to the FDA?
To know the specifics of that, I don't know, but we know that there are companies who are formulating the same types of basic products in both the European Union and here in the United States and Canada, and that they are doing it differently. Their formulations are different, so that they are abiding by the different sets of rules.
Okay. So the products that are through Beautycounter, is that the same products across Ontario, across Canada and the US? So like if I were to purchase something here in Canada, would it be the same thing that you get in the US?
Through Beautycounter, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, because I know that there are some companies out there, and that's the reason why I asked, is that there are some companies that the regulations are a little bit different from the US and Canada. So some products we're not allowed to get in Canada, or that they're only allowed in Canada but not in the US, that kind of thing. So I didn't know if Beautycounter kind of fell under that same criteria.
Right. So because we go with the highest possible, the strictest standards when it comes to the ingredients, it covers everything.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So how long have you, I think it was 2018 that you've been, since you've been using Beautycounter, is that, am I using my memory correctly?
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. September of 2018. So not just over maybe 9 months. Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of differences, other than the toxicity levels, obviously you saw some differences in your overall toxicity levels, but what other kind of changes or things have you noticed by using Beautycounter?
One of the things that was really important to Beautycounter, in addition to being reform in the beauty industry, was to make products that were not only safer for us, but also performed really, really well. So it was kind of a healthy living meets Chanel, if you will, type of matchup.
Yep.
And so, I had never really been somebody to invest in myself when it came to skincare. And it actually wasn't an area that I really knew about. I kind of knew makeup. And so that's where I started, but didn't really know how to take care of my skin. Why do we need, different things for different reasons? And I would mix and match between brands, not realizing that they're really all supposed to work together. And so you kind of need to stay with one line. But I have seen and gotten more compliments on my skin since switching to them and using their products than ever before. I feel like my skin looks a lot better. I feel like my skin is much healthier as a result of, having to learn all of the different products and kind of play and dabble in all those sorts of things. I've really found how I can take good care of myself. And so, self-care has really risen to the top of some of my priorities now, where that really wasn't the case before, especially when I was really not feeling well. I mean, I had the fatigue that we had talked about in the intro really kind of ebbs and flows with what's going on, because I'm still going through the process of healing from the toxicity. And so, when I am not feeling well, and when I have lots of days when I'm not feeling well, my self-care, about the most that I can do is, get dressed in the morning and maybe go from upstairs in the bedroom to downstairs in the family room on the couch. And I'm just having a day where I'm not doing a whole lot, but when it comes to now skincare, like I enjoy doing a charcoal mask, and I enjoy doing a little bit of eye cream and some cleanser and a day cream and a night cream, and learning all about those things and why they should be used. And just taking some time, not a ton of time, but just taking some time to invest in me.
Okay. Nice. And self-care is definitely something that is like extremely important. So, and I do a lot of self-care. That part there is really important for me. And I strongly advocate for that with my clients as well. But I don't use skincare. So like I wash my face, I use whatever. And so I have this thing about like, so I don't put stuff on my face at all. And I know that from talking to some other people that do use different products, because I don't wear makeup, right? So the most makeup that I have, and it's actually from Beautycounter, is I actually have some mascara. Like that's the extent of my makeup. Like I have nothing else. So and it is Beautycounter by chance. So but like, so what do you do or what do you say to people that are like me, that like I just use the water, like that's how I cleanse my face?
Yeah. So what we don't realize is that our skin is actually being bombarded with a lot of stressors every single day. And so water really is not giving our body or at least our skin, what it needs. I mean, yes, we need to drink water and fuel ourselves and cleanse ourselves from the inside out. So very important to stay hydrated so that we can our cells have what they need to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
When it comes to our skin, when we step outside, it is dealing with all kinds of stuff, the toxins that are in the air, UV light from the sun, all kinds of things like that. And so when we're using a skincare regimen, we are helping our skin to be able to deal with all of that stuff. So, a cleanser is literally cleansing off all of that stuff that we have gathered up all throughout the day. Mm-hmm. We have a toner step that is prepping our skin, adjusting the pH so that then the next two steps will fall in line. The third step would be to treat our skin with whatever it is that is right for that person. Is it giving your skin the hydration that it needs because it's been a very dry time like winter and it's dealing with cold and wind and things like that? Or is it that you're starting to see a loss of plumpness in your skin. And so you're starting to see fine lines and wrinkles. So we're trying to turn back the clock, if you will, or give your skin a little more plump to it. Or are we trying to treat acne? And so we're looking at, bacteria and oiliness and things like that. And then the last step is to protect it so that as we are going out into the day and our skin is dealing with the stressors that it is dealing with, we're able to help reduce that burden, if you will, on the skin so that it can do its job to the best of its ability.
Okay, so that was 5 steps that you said?
4
steps. And so now you said that it makes a difference in terms of like your skin and probably where you're from and what it is that's going on health-wise or condition-wise. So so does your product change from one season to the next?
It can. For some people it can, depending on what climate you're in and what your preferred product line is. So for example, we have a product line that is made to adapt to what your skin needs. And so you could use that same line if you wanted to all year long. And then we have another line like the anti-aging line, because it is very, very hydrating. It might be a little too much for summer and springtime when you're outside more, sweating more, the air is more humid, that sort of thing. And so you might want to switch to something else.
Okay. So then that doesn't mean that you actually have to wear makeup from what it is that I'm understanding then, right?
Oh,
so
no.
You have to have like a foundation or anything like that. It's just cleansers and creams.
Right. And then if we wanted to, we could do some sun protection on top of the cleanser and the creams.
Okay.
So that we're reducing the amount of UV light, because that is one of the fastest ways that our skin ages is exposure to UVA rays from the sun. But it doesn't have to be full-fledged makeup. It could just be a tinted moisturizer that is a very light amount of coverage, just evens out your skin tone and gives you some SPF protection.
Okay. So now you talked about some of the other products. So, so for example, I'm using me as an example simply because like I'm the only one here. Actually, there's a couple of people that are online though. So like if you guys have any questions for Lisa, please like give us some feedback and ask us some questions. That would be really awesome. So one of the other things, so for me, my hair is something that's really challenging. And so because depending on the products is that because I don't put any, again, I don't use any kind of products. So like I don't wear makeup, but I also don't use products in my hair. I have learned to like wash and go, but that has also been a challenge at different times of the year because my hair is naturally curly. I really struggle with finding the right products to be able to deal with my my curly hair. So in the summertime, it is more dry and flyaway, and that is because of the sun and because of the change in temperature. And then in the wintertime, again, depending on sometimes it'll be dry and fly away, but a lot of times it's more staticky because it's drier in the house, that kind of thing. So like what are your hair products like? Like how does that work?
Sure. So we have 3 basic lines when it comes to adult products. We also have some kid products, but we would have a daily shampoo and conditioner, which is a very nice, lightweight, clarifying type of shampoo and conditioner. We have a volume shampoo and conditioner for people who would like to add some more volume. And then we have a repair and a smooth and repair one, which actually would be lovely for you because it is made for people who have on the drier side, curly, kind of unmanageable type of hair. And so we put some nice oils in it. So not heavy, weighed down oils, not greasy oils, but oils that will nourish the hair and allow it to be more manageable.
And I pulled out a piece of paper and pen so that I can actually write it down. So what was that? That was the repair one?
Smooth and repair, yes.
Smooth and repair. Okay. So I'm going to have to take a look at that. Because like I said, that's always an issue for me, because my hair is naturally curly and I used to like dread having curly hair. Now it's like, now I don't mind it. And so, but I just need to like, since I stopped using all the extra products. And so, so knowing more about like the toxicity and stuff that are in, different products, that is probably one of the reasons, actually not probably, it's most likely one of the reasons why I've had so much difficulty with being able to tame my hair. And so, so being able to try and find different products that actually, are easy to be able to manage and be able to use. So, now you talked about, some, product line for kids, like, so, So what kind of things is it that you actually offer for children?
Sure. So we have three main products that are specifically offered for kids, although they could use, because it is a non-toxic brand, they could use any of it. But we have a kids shampoo, a kids conditioner, which also makes a really great detangler if you were to put a couple tablespoons of it with some water in a spray bottle. Okay. And then a kids body wash. And the kids line is made with fruit and veggie extracts and essential oils. So my son uses the shampoo and the body wash and loves them. They smell like fruit punch. The body wash smells like fruit punch. And so it's always pleasant when it comes when we get the order in the mail and we open the box. It's a very nice smell when it comes up. And I don't know if you know much about middle school boys, but they do not particularly enjoy being clean. So anything that we can do to make that experience, more likely that it will actually happen is a bonus on our end.
Yeah. Both of my boys are now 22 and 24. But I do recall that like we went through a stage where it was like torture to try and get them into the tub.
Yes.
And, so it was like, come on, it's time for you to have a bath. It's not an option.
Yeah.
Whereas when they were little, it was like, oh, every day, like 2 or 3 times a day, they'd want to be in the tub. And so, exactly. So now it's like now they're adults and they, I think that they do pretty good with their personal hygiene, but but they are adults, so it is their choice at this point. But but growing up, especially when they went through those teenage years as well, it was like you open up the bedroom door and it was like, oh my gosh, close the door because you don't want to have to smell. So having some pleasant smelling products would have been really nice back then.
Yeah.
So now you said that that there's some essential oils in the children's products. So do they have essential oils in the adult products as well?
Yep. We used essential oils instead of what you would normally see in other products listed as fragrance. Fragrance is one of those things that it's kind of like the dirty secret when it comes to the beauty industry, because the word fragrance or perfume or parfum, depending on how they list it on the ingredient label, that could actually be as many as 3,000 different chemicals. Yeah. And so they don't have to list all those out because it's considered a trade secret, kind of, like IP, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I'm always very, very leery of products who simply list that they have fragrance in them. I would much rather see someone list out the essential oils and what's actually coming with the scent, what is causing the scent to be in there. So yes, we use essential oils in almost all of our products.
Oh, that's really cool, because that's one of the things that I really struggle with, which is trying to find products again that are unscented or have some natural scent as opposed to, so whether it's essential oils, and typically that's what it is that I find is stuff that actually has essential oils or unscented, because I can't do the fragrance. So for my birthday, I was actually someone had gifted me a really beautiful package and of bath products and things like that. And even through the packaging, like I haven't opened the packaging because that's all that I can smell is the perfumes. Like I cannot, I can't do it. I end up with severe allergies. I have sinus issues to begin with. And so I can't use perfumes. Like anything that contains perfumes, it just sends my sinuses into like a whirlwind. So like using the essential oils is definitely something that I use. So that's awesome to be able to know that. So I know, like I said, I have a friend that actually sells Beautycounter, and she shared a little bit, but like I said, because I don't use makeup and I don't do face stuff, I do like I said, I bought the mascara because it was like, oh, okay, I need some new mascara. And but I liked what it is that she had shared about the Beautycounter and the importance of it. So I definitely ordered some eyeliner, but I'm definitely going to reach out to her, and definitely for the hair makeup or like the hair stuff. And but I guess I'm gonna have to take a look at the at the facial stuff. and
Yeah.
take a look and see what I should be doing that way, especially with summer coming. So is maybe trying to see about protecting my skin a little bit more from the SPF. So
Well, what is really great about that is that you can go onto the site, BeautyCounter.com or BeautyCounter.com / whatever your friend's name is, if you're going to go directly to her site. And we list every ingredient for every product on the site so that you can do your own research. You can see what's in there, because even when it comes to products that are as clean as ours, we still run across some people who maybe have a nut allergy, for example, and we use sweet almond oil in some of our products.
Okay.
So we would want people to be able to investigate that and make a well-informed choice before purchasing, which is great. And so what I love about that is not every company does that. I mean, you can very easily go onto some companies' websites and never ever find an ingredient list someplace. And so we put ours not only on the website, but also on the packaging that the product comes in, so that if there's ever a question, you can always see what's in there.
Okay. So I'm just because you actually had mentioned the website. So it's BeautyCounter.com, and is it just Lisa Handley?
Yes, it would be / Lisa Handley.
And like no spaces between the Lisa Handley?
Correct.
Okay, so I just put that in the comments for anybody that actually is interested before we even go further, just in case there's somebody that wants to go and check something out specifically, that they have the opportunity to be able to do that, because we do have a few people that are on. So, but they're apparently very quiet today. So, so you're either answering all of the questions, or they're not quite sure what it is that they want to talk about. So, so for those of you who are on, love to be able to hear more. And Lisa's actually going to be tagged on this post, so she can definitely come back and answer any other questions, especially if you guys want to be able to go and check out the products and stuff as well. And if you have any questions, then feel free to message Lisa and ask the questions on the feed, because it's really helpful for others to be able to. So chances are, if you have the answer, the question, chances are someone else is going to have that question as well. Which is the reason why I'm using me as an example of my hair and my face, right? So because it's a lot more helpful when you actually have that concrete idea of what's going on with that. So so what are some of the things that that you recommend in terms of, so somebody says you know what, I really don't want to have to change my products right now, or I just finished purchasing a whole bunch of other things. What kind of things can they start with? What are, obviously they can start with anything, but what are some of the recommended things that you would actually suggest that they change in terms of their product line?
I always recommend that we start with skincare first, because just like I hear a lot of people just like you, they don't wear makeup, and that's totally fine. But everybody is probably using something on their skin, and it's probably skincare. So they're washing their face with something, even if it's just a bar of soap. It doesn't have to be a fancy cleanser, but they are probably washing their face or their body with something. So I always recommend skincare. And then if they're not really into makeup, then the next would be whatever they're using on their hair, because we're all washing our hair with something too. And then we kind of go from there. We personalize based on what their skincare concerns are, what they want to get out of a skincare regimen, or what they're looking for. Is it fine lines and wrinkles? Is it acne? Is it, I'm fine totally the way I am. I just want to stay where I'm at and give my skin what it needs to be where it's at right now. Is it, I would like something else to help with acne scarring. We have a product, that helps with that. And sometimes it's, here are a few things to try. Let's see what works for you. Let's see what doesn't work for you. Because even though they are very, very clean products or non-toxic products, we still have to figure out what works for you and your skin and your particular makeup. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so those are really good places to be able to start in terms of the recommendations. So if somebody says that they want to stay with their products, how can they find out how much toxicity is in their products?
Sure.
That they're using?
So I love the Environmental Working Group, or EWG, site. They have both an app called the Healthy Living app, and they have a website, which is ewg.org/skin deep. And what this does, this is an independent organization that is a database of products. They have almost 70,000 products in their database. So you can literally go and search a specific brand and a specific product. And if it is in there, it will bring it up and it gives it a rating. And it rates it on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being the cleanest product, the least amount of health hazard for us, and 10 being the most hazardous for us. So we always want to have products that have the lowest possible numbers, or they may also have a rating of EWG verified, which means it's like the best of the best. The company has been fully transparent with all of their ingredients, plus all of their ingredients check out to be very clean. And so that's kind of like the gold star, if you will, for that system. And along with giving it a number, they also give it a color. And so the color works like a stoplight system, where green is good, yellow is you really should be cautious because we're starting to get into some safety concerns here with our health. And then red is like, oh, please stop, do not use these products anymore. And so the goal is always to be green and lowest numbers as far as being in the safest and cleanest products.
Okay. So while you were actually talking about that, I actually put it in. So I put rated, so they're actually rated 0 to 10, 0 being good and 10 being the most dangerous or the most,
toxic. Yeah.
Toxic. Most toxic, that's the word. So I'm going to put least toxic on here as well. And so like for those of you who are actually catching the replay, it's you'll obviously see that in the comments, but for those of you who are actually on live, I'm actually putting that in the comment description right now. So because I know that that's something that is because I use a lot of the products that I do use is that I actually make a lot of them myself because I use the essential oils but I don't always have time for that. And so to try and apparently I don't know how to spell verified, but I'll go back and fix it later. So for those of you who are watching right now going like, oh, there's a typo, I know, I'll fix it. For those of you who are catching the replay, I already fixed it. But just really important for us to be able to know what kind of things to be able to use. So I've done a lot of research on different carrier oils and things like that. So like you talked about the almond, using the almond oil. And so I use that a lot, as well as coconut oil, and always very careful as to like what kind of coconut oil that I'm using. And so I have specific products or brands that I use, but like I said, I don't always have time to be able to make stuff. So being able to have things that I can actually have access to that would be helpful to be able to use so that I can actually have that healthier approach to things. So in terms of, so I know that there are a lot of different products and different people have actually talked about their products. And so when they use their products, you only need a little bit of, in comparison to what it is that you buy at the store and that kind of thing. I'm assuming that Beautycounter probably has that same approach or that same quality in terms of their product.
That's exactly right. Because when you're buying something from Beautycounter, you're getting every single ingredient in there has a purpose and has a reason, versus when you're buying something from the convenience store or such, you're getting a little bit of something that has a purpose and then a whole lot of filler, right? Because they're trying to keep their costs down so that their profits can be high. And so that's not the approach when it comes to clean beauty. We really want to give you products that work. And of course, there's the balance between, yes, we need to be able to make a profit, but that's not the focus. The focus is always, we want to give you a product that works well, and it's not going to jeopardize your health.
And that makes a lot of sense, because that's extremely important, as because like I know that I've purchased some other products from different companies and stuff, and I would say to my husband, you only need like a little tiny drop, and he's like, what am I supposed to do with that little tiny drop?
Yes.
Right? So how am I supposed to use that? It's like, you only need a dime size, or you only need a whatever the instructions are. And so I had used, I had purchased some dish soap. And so one of the products, or one of the things in dish soap, is that they add some other kind of chemical in it to make it sudsy. So and so do you guys have those kind of products as well? Like,
so we actually are going to this summer. We are changing over one of our cleansers that currently does not foam into a foaming one, because to your point, people are like, well, if it doesn't foam, it must not be working, right? This is not how this is supposed to be. And so there's a little bit of a transitionary period there for some folks, but we Beautycounter has figured it out. I do not envy the people who are in our product department and innovation department who have to come up with these things. I'm just super glad I get to be on the other end where I get to tell people about them.
So I put the dish soap into the sink, and my son and my sons, both sons and husband, would say, well, you can't do the dishes with that, because like there's no suds. Like, how are you watch with no soap? And it's like, there is soap in here. And so my oldest son, who is very scientific, so like his brain just works that way. He's always worked that way. He has a lot of history. He's got a lot of scientific facts in his brain that the rest of us kind of go like this useless trivia kind of information. And so then he came in and he's like, and he had made something that was greasy. And he's like, see, now watch this. And so he puts it in the sink, and the grease dissipated throughout the water. And I said, see, look at this, right? It doesn't have to suds. Yeah. And so, because he really struggled with that. And so it doesn't matter. We ended up switching back to the regular dish soap, because it was just, they wouldn't use it. So they actually started going out and buying their own dish soap. So because it just it didn't work for their brain. So I'm like, whatever. Yeah. So but I would when I do the dishes, I still use my other stuff, but they don't. They use when they're doing the dishes, they're using the sudsy stuff. So is there anything else that you think is really important that we haven't talked about, or that I haven't asked you about, that would be really important for people to know?
Well, I would say for people who are looking to start changing over their products, that can be a very overwhelming situation, because, when I was kind of in this situation and I really felt like I needed to do it all at one time, which was probably not, how everybody should do it. But I was going around into each of our bathrooms in the linen closet, and I was making a list of all the things, all the products that we use, right? And so as a family, we were somewhere between like 25 and 30 products. And I thought, oh my goodness, how do I even start? What do I do with all of this? And so I always like to pass along kind of what my approach was to handling that, because I do think that some people can get overwhelmed very easily by that. And they say, well, I'm just not going to change over anything. Right. Yeah. And so my approach to that is I use the EWG site, either the app or the site or the website itself. And I went ahead and I made my list of all of those things that we use as a family. What are we using every single day? And what are we using once in a while? So the hand soap, the shampoo, the bar soap, the face wash that we were using every single day, I put in one piece of paper. And then on the second piece of paper, I put the things we didn't use every day, but we were still using them pretty often. Charcoal mask, maybe a lotion, a sunscreen, things that we only used a few times a year, that sort of thing. And went onto EWG and found out the ratings for all of those. And then I made myself a priority list. So I took the products that ranked the highest of the ones that we used every single day, and I focused on those first. Because basically then what we're doing is we're getting rid of the worst offenders that we are bombarding our body with most often. And so by switching those out first, we're really getting down the path of letting our body be able to detox from those things, stopping exposing ourselves to the worst of the worst, if you will. Yeah. And I basically told myself, I am going to give us a year to be able to switch out all of our products. So basically that broke down to, I'm going to switch over 1 or 2 products each month, which felt much, much more manageable to me, not only from a time perspective and trying to find what those safer options were, but also from a budget perspective, because I mean, market research shows us that on average, we spend about $3,700 a year on personal care products. So when it comes to, this can be kind of a budget buster for some people if we're not, being cautious and doing it the right way. So I literally would just 1 or 2, I put a reminder in my calendar for the 15th of every month, and I kept my list in my phone. And the next month I would bring up another couple of products. Okay, what are we tackling today? We're tackling toothpaste this month and body wash for Matthew. Okay. And so I would go to EWG, and the same way that you can plug in a product to see what the rating is, you can plug in a generic search term like kids body wash or whitening toothpaste or, volumizing mascara. And it will then give you back a list of products with their ratings, and it ranks them from safest to least safe.
Yeah.
So you can see then and go through the list and find things that work for you and what you could, buy at Target or what you can buy on Amazon or that sort of thing. So I always tell people, I know that it can be overwhelming, but if we attack it the right way, then it's less overwhelming and we're doing our body the most good when it comes, to that. And it's okay to give yourself grace. You don't have to do it all in one day. But if we tackle the worst things first, then we are headed down a very good path.
And that makes a lot of sense. And I would have never thought of it that way. So when I did switch to, because like I said, most of the products that I had a lot of perfume in them, and I was actually not doing well with the perfume, I actually just scrapped it all and threw it all away and started from scratch. And my husband's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can't use all this stuff." So it was just gone. And it was very costly, but I was having a lot of allergic reactions, and I was having my sinuses. I was having sinusitis all the time. And so it was like sinus infections after sinus infections. And it was like, I just need to do something to make it stop. And so I went to the extreme and started from scratch. And I had gotten rid of, so like, there's a few things that my family has returned into to using because that just worked for them. But we have my stuff and their stuff. So they can continue to use all of their stuff. They just need to be cautious about anything that has perfumes in it. But for the, cause there's a couple of products that have very strong, male products that have very strong perfumes. And so I need them, they know that they can't use those ones when they're home. So, because I can't, if I will be downstairs and I start having an allergic reaction from them using it in the shower upstairs. So, but like, I like the plan, and I think my husband probably would have been much better with my plan had I have actually done it the way that you suggested it. But no, I just scrapped it all.
You bring up a very good point though, because if you do have an allergy to stuff, or like say, for example, for people who don't tolerate gluten and don't realize that our personal care products can have gluten in them, and that might be a source of what they're reacting to, sometimes there is a necessity to just say, I can't use this anymore. And then figure out, what do I really need? What do I need to have right now? And what can I do without and maybe put off for a little bit, right? So like, yes, I need to get rid of fragrance because I react to it, but I need something to wash my face with, and I need something to wash my hair with, right? Yeah. Like priorities. But I can do away with or wait a while on like a nice smelling hand lotion or something like that, so you can still prioritize even within a situation like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like, I like the fact that they actually have that scale. And I know that there's a different, and it may even be the same scale that my girlfriend had actually found. But at that point I had already wiped everything else out. So any of the products that I was using fit within the criteria of the app that she was using, because she was testing all of the products that I was using to see where things were at. But like, that was just really important for me at that point. And like I said, there are some products that So some fragrances are not as strong as others. And so, like I said, but there's a couple of the male products that like, and because there's no women in our house other than me. So, and now actually my son's girlfriend comes around periodically. So now there are two of us periodically, but she comes with her own stuff. But but that was one of the things, is that I would have to let the guys know that you guys can't, like, so my husband was really good that way. At being able to be respectful, and not that my boys weren't respectful, but they were also in their late teens when all this started happening for me. And they're like, oh, we've been using this stuff for all these years, blah, 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 like all that criteria. But now they're actually, now that they're adults and they've gone through that, that most challenging phase of being a young teenager.
Yes.
They're very respectful that way. So like if there's really something that they really absolutely want to be able to use, they use it when they're not home. So, which is really helpful. So one of the things that you did mention while you were actually talking was that, and you may have actually said that earlier as well, but I don't recall, is that you said sunscreen. You actually have sunscreen as one of the products?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So there are most conventional sunscreens have so they're what we call filters, sun filters. It's like oxybenzone or avobenzone would be one of a couple of the more common ones. And there's a couple of issues with those. Number one is that they're actually very damaging to our oceans and the ecosystem within the ocean. So there are places like Hawaii and Key West in Florida that have passed laws that say that you can no longer use sunscreens that have those ingredients in them, because they're seeing how they're affecting the coral reef systems in those areas.
Okay.
So very, very soon, it was like 2020 and 2021, I believe those laws go into effect. And so what we use is a non-nano based zinc oxide. So it is more like a sunblock. If you think about what the lifeguards used to use on their nose to give them a white nose, that would be the similar type of thing. But what's great is that sunscreens have come along. The formulation of these types of sunscreen have come so far along that it no longer has to be a thick white paste to give you protection. So it goes on pretty much almost clear, which is lovely. And it spreads on very nicely and gives you the protection that you need. But also it's not absorbed by your skin, which is fantastic. So the molecule sizes are actually large enough that they cannot pass through the skin. And so for that reason, they are safer.
Okay. Actually, so I've got two things on my list that I'm actually going to be checking out.
Fantastic.
So just because like we have, so now is there a different sunscreen for kids and then there are for adults, or is it all the same?
It's the same line, but we do offer a lotion, a spray, and a stick. So like a stick is nice for face, and then a spray is very nice for kids who are a little squiggly and, not wanting to stay around to get lotioned.
Well, and because we have little kids that come around, but because we don't have them all the time, that typically their parents come with whatever sunscreen that they need, but the odd time somebody forgets or whatever. Mm-hmm. So like we always like to have something on hand so that if we have little people, so having the same line would actually be really cool. So that way there, it doesn't matter who comes around, that we would actually have that protection for the kids. So like I said, those are definitely two things that I'm going to be looking into, so that I can, and I'll definitely give you some feedback on the hair product. So that, cause like I said, I always struggle with that, especially coming into summer, because like I wash and wear. Mm-hmm. And so that is like really important for me. And so the one product that I was actually using that allowed to be able to take all of the chemical and whatever out of my hair. It was almost I think it was probably almost 60 days before all the chemicals and everything came out of my hair and that I could actually feel the difference. But that transition was a really hard transition for my hair, because my hair had adapted to a lot of the things. And so now it's like it made my hair really, really dry. I really struggled with it, and they had different types, and it has essential oils in it, and I had tried different ones. And so I really struggle with being able to try and find the one that actually works properly with it, because the conditioner that comes with it is very thick and very heavy, and and then makes my hair really heavy. So and so I haven't been able to. So it was great at being able to cleanse my hair. That was like a perfect product to be able to help take the chemical out. And so I use that still often enough, but in between sessions is that I actually use like some of the stuff from the hair salon, just because like I need to keep it a little bit more moist. And so that's that part there is like really important for that to be able to happen. So yeah, so I'm going to try that out, and I will definitely give you some feedback so that you can share with others as to how that goes. And but I will definitely be I'm definitely going to be ordering some of that so that I can actually try it. So
well, fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Feedback is so important. It really helps me to know how to help other people and be able to make recommendations. So I really appreciate that.
Not a problem. So like I said, I'll definitely be doing that. My vitamin levels have actually dropped again, because I've actually got, as I'm sitting here talking about my hair, I've got eczema. That's actually, because I actually form eczema in the back of my neck. So there's something that I'm using, and I know that it has to do, and it's likely the shampoo that I'm using. But it doesn't have like a lot of fragrances in it. So there's, so I know that that's not the case, but I definitely need to find something different. So definitely going to be checking that out.
Okay.
So is there anything else that you think that would be important for people to know?
Well, I will say you brought up a very good point about your hair. So when we switch, sometimes when we switch from what I will call maybe more toxic things to less toxic things, we have to allow our body to go through a detox period. So we see that with deodorants. A lot of times when we're switching to a more natural deodorant, we also see it a lot with shampoo and conditioner. So we have to give our body a little bit of grace. It is trying to get rid of the stuff that we're no longer exposing ourselves to. And so there is a transitionary period. Sometimes that even looks like breakouts. Sometimes that looks like, our hair is not quite as manageable as we thought it was. Sometimes in the case of a deodorant, that's, maybe the smell is not contained as much as we would like it to be, but it tends to pass. It tends to pass. So, it's one of those things that if we can stay with it and we can stick through the hard part, it's worth it in the end. And definitely, instead of giving up on the product, talk to somebody, talk to the consultant, talk to whoever has recommended the product to you, so that you can get some feedback on that and maybe some tips on how to help make that process go a little more smoothly.
So now if something happens that somebody tries the product and it really is not good, is not good for them. Not to say that it's not good, but it's not good for them. They should be trying something different because they had tried for however long. Is there any kind of warranty on the products?
So in the United States, yes, we have a 60-day, no questions asked return policy where we would, you get full credit back, except for what it costs you to ship it to you. Okay. And you get, so it's not through product credit, is however you paid. So if you, put it on a charge card, you get refunded to your charge card. And again, no questions asked. You could have used the entire bottle and sent it back to us, and we give you a refund as long as it's within the 60 days. In Canada, my understanding is that we do not have that same policy. We'd have to check into more what we are able to do for people who want to return or exchange those products. So I would have to get back to you on that one.
Okay. So yeah, definitely put it in the comments so that anybody that's catching the replay will be able to. And so Penny says lots of very good info, and thank you. And so, and on that note, Penny, I'm going to actually say, I'm going to put a little nudge in there that you should probably jump on Monday Whispers chat and share some of your products, because she uses different kind of products as well that has no chemicals. So so it would actually be really good for her to be able to share her knowledge. That would be really helpful, Penny. Hint, hint, hint. So I know that she shares a lot of information when we actually go to events and stuff. So, but it would be really helpful for others to be able to hear a little bit more about your products, Penny. So just a little plug in there for Monday Whispers chat. And for anybody else who is catching the replay as well, is that Monday Whispers chat is not necessarily about a particular product that you have. It could be about something that you offer, something that is going on in your life. It could be pretty much any topic that that you think would be helpful, because if it's interesting to you, chances are it's probably interesting to someone else. And it may be really helpful in terms of being able to inspire somebody to be able to make some sort of change as to what it is that's going on. And so the last few Monday Whispers chats has been about women that have actually been sharing the business aspect of what it is that they are doing. And but it's just really important for me to be able to let people know that it doesn't have to be. We had somebody that came in and spoke about their own mental health experience, somebody who talked about the importance of breastfeeding. So like, it doesn't have to be that you own a business that you actually want to be able to do this. It's about inspiring women to make whatever kind of changes that are actually going in their lives. And sometimes it's about being able to share your experience. So thank you very much, Lisa, for having shared your experience in and how it came about for you as to why it is that you actually are advocating for this. Why? Because the topic of this Monday Whispers chat was why reform is needed in the beauty industry. And there's a lot of toxicity. There's a lot of reasons why. And I really love the statistic that you actually brought forward at the beginning of when my tongue was still tied. And but when you had talked about the statistics about breast cancer, right? So like, and the fact that that particular I think it was called paraben or whatever it was actually showing in the breast cancer tumor. And like, that is huge information. I didn't know that. Like, I knew that it had actually increased, but I didn't realize that some of those toxic chemicals were actually showing up in the actual tumors. So thank you very much for sharing that information. That was really, that was definitely a really helpful statistic that was really helpful for me to be able to know, and I'm sure that others that is interesting for others as well. But like, so if any of you guys have any questions, then tag Lisa in this comment. You can actually reach out to her individually as well. I've put her her Instagram page as well as her Facebook page, and the two websites that she had actually recommended. So her Beautycounter website, as well as the EWG is in the comments as well. So definitely, if there's anything that you guys want to know, definitely reach out to Lisa, and I will definitely keep Lisa posted in the next couple months as to how things are going with my hair, especially since we're moving into summer. This is like probably the biggest test is moving into summer. So that was probably, so this is probably really good timing in terms of being able to share how that is. And if that doesn't work, then obviously I'll get some recommendations as to what to use instead. But just because, like I said, I do try and use the least amount of toxicity, or put the least amount of toxicity into my body as possible. So, and I'm not always successful, because we have our habits and the things that we do, and things that learned behavior of things that we always have, right? So go over to my parents. Mom always has pretzels in the entrance as soon as you get there. So it's like a handful of pretzels. It doesn't matter that I'm not eating carbs, right? Or eating lower carbs. It's like as soon as I walk through the door, they're there. So you start eating them, right? Just out of habit. So sometimes we do have those habitual things that we need to be changing as well. And so being gentle on ourselves. So like, one of the things that Lisa had said is taking the time to figure out which ones, and using that rating scale. So making changes one little step at a time is going to help you increase your health. So, and finding something that you can stick with, and that works for you. So thank you very much. Lisa, is there anything else that you want to say just before we head out?
Well, thank you all so much for your time. Thank you. This has been fabulous. So it's so lovely to talk about what we put on our body, because it matters. What we put on our skin matters. And so I hope you all just took a little nugget away from you today from this chat. So thank you so much.
Thanks very much. See you guys later. Bye, everyone.